Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 10-Minute Bible Lesson. We appreciate you joining us today. So the last time we looked, we saw where David was fleeing for his life. He was escaping, and the person that helped him escape was none other than his wife, Michal. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, what David did after that, he meets up with his very best friend. Now, who could that be? Who would you say was David's very best number one friend? Well, we're going to read about it in 1 Samuel chapter 20, the very first verse. Then David fled from Naioth in Ramah and went and said to Jonathan. That's right, it was Jonathan. What did he say to Jonathan? Here's what he said. He said, "What have I done? What is my iniquity? And what is my sin before your father that he's seeking my life?" So let me just go ahead and kind of paraphrase a little bit about Jonathan's response. So what did Jonathan say? He said, "By no means." Now we might say it this way, no way is that going to happen. So Jonathan said, "By no means." He said, "You're not going to die." He said this, he said, My father wouldn't do anything, whether it was little or small or great, unless he let me know first. That's what he said. That's what Jonathan told David. But he said, "My father would not hide this from me. It is not so." That's what he told. Now listen, they were buddies. They were good friends. And you know how David responded? Here's how David responded to his friend. He said an oath. And let's read about it, and it's in verse 3 of 1 Samuel chapter 20. Then David took an oath again and said, "Your father certainly knows that I have found favor in your eyes. And he has said, 'Do not let Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved. But truly as the Lord lives, and as your soul lives, there is but a step between me and death.'" That's what he told his friend Jonathan. So have you ever given an oath before God? Have you ever swore before God that you were telling the truth? You gave an oath. That's what David did. And not only that, I wanted to ask you this. Has there ever been a time when there was only a step away from you and death? Now listen, I'm hoping that's never been the case with you. Sometimes I feel like way back in my past when I was a young person, it was really close to it. I can tell you that. So David is a man that's on the run. So what is he running? Why is he running, and what is he running for? David is running and fleeing for his very life. So how do you think Jonathan responded after David spoke to him and gave him that oath? What do you think Jonathan said? Do you think he kind of argued with him back and forth? Well, it tells us in verse 4 of 1 Samuel chapter 20. It says, "So Jonathan said to David, 'Whatever you yourself desire, I will do it for you.'" Now, how about that? That sounds like a real friend. Sounds like a true friend. It sounds like a person of real character. In fact, both of these guys were real men. Both of them were. They were brave. They loved the Lord. They had integrity. And I tell you what, I know that the Bible says that David loved Jonathan. You know what? I love Jonathan. I love the kind of person that he is. So Jonathan chose what was right, even if it went against his family. Now, I want you to think about that just a minute. How many people would be willing to do that? How many people would do that? Who would agree to something like that, right? Even if it goes against your own blood. And so that's why it makes me really respect Jonathan. Jonathan, he chose what was right and true, even if it defied his father. So they had agreed between each other to give a signal. So Jonathan had agreed and come up with this plan to let David know if his father still wanted to kill him or if it was safe for him to come in. And so they come up with this plan, and it had to do with shooting arrows. And so Jonathan told David to go in this certain place, and he would shoot an arrow. And if that arrow came close in, then it would be a sign for David that it was okay for him to come in. Come on in. It'll be okay. It's okay to come back. But if he shot the arrow and the arrow went real far, then it was a sign it's not safe to come in. You better take off. You better run. You better get out of here. So this is what happened. There was a feast. Apparently, the Bible talks about this feast that the king held at what was called the king's table. And apparently they had this feast every month, and it was called the new moon feast. And so when they had it, David's seat was empty. And of course, the king, and he took and noticed that David wasn't gone. And then the next day, I guess the feast lasted more than one day. The next day, his seat was empty again. And so Saul found out that his son Jonathan had excused David from the feast. So what happened to Saul? Saul got furious. I mean, you know how he was, and you know how he got. He got just, murderously mad. He got so mad at Jonathan, and here's what he said to Jonathan. I want to read it to you, and it's in verse 30 of 1 Samuel chapter 20. Then Saul's anger was aroused against Jonathan, and he said to him, listen to this. This is what he calls his own son. You son of a perverse and rebellious woman, do I not know that you have chosen the son of Jesse to your own shame and to the shame of your mother's nakedness? Yeah, what a horrible thing to say to your own son. So listen, he told Jonathan, in fact, he gave him a command. He says, you get David and you bring him here, so we're going to kill him. And you can imagine, wow, Jonathan's already kind of swore. Jonathan and David had made a covenant between each other. And so you can imagine how Jonathan responded to this, and he defended David before his father. How do you think his father reacted to that? Did you think he said, oh, that's okay, it's no big deal? No, he got really angry, even more angry. And this is what he done. And this is our last verse. This is verse 33 in 1 Samuel chapter 20. Look at this. You remember me saying a while back, I kind of felt sorry for Saul. Yeah, I don't feel sorry for him anymore. Listen to this. He said, then Saul cast a spear at him to kill him, by which Jonathan knew that it was determined by his father to kill David. Wow. So that's going to be how it ends. Now, we got another lesson. And this is really interesting because David did not get the signal to come in. It's okay. It was just the opposite. So David had to get out of town and get out fast. And the next time, we're going to find out where David goes. And it's really going to be interesting. Some of the events that transpires when David is on the run from the king. Well, listen, that's all we have for today, but we appreciate you joining us today. And listen, we hope you'll join us next time, and we hope you have a really good week.